it's much easier to reach people and to build a product than ever, right? So you can essentially make money off of everything, right? We've all seen it. We've all seen the people with the big TikTok channels of underwater basket weaving, right? Crocheting, or whatever it is. I mean, there's literally TikTok channels that go viral with people sleeping, right? Which tells you there's an audience for everything if you're your authentic self.
So you talked about like creating those lead magnets. Which lead magnets would you say are, really working the best these days for Nomara, for your clients, and like, for what you see works on the, in the online space?
Yeah, so things have evolved in the sales market, or the way you, in the way that you position your product, right? Going back to the topic of AI, on that same note, you can now utilize these same sort of tools to build sales assets and generate interest around your offer, your product, without a lot of effort on your part and with very minimal. They're not familiar with that particular sort of tool, but to me, it actually is low effort, right? And it's something that I could easily replicate. And it sort of gives them like that awe factor, like, wow, this guy's free product. Like, imagine what the paid product could be, right? Or imagine what the experience will be like working with them further. So I think the way that people utilize AI.
What's up, guys? We're here with a live episode of the Impact Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Dave Gold, and on this show, we interview impactful leaders from all over the world who are creating impact in their communities and globally. So on today's episode, I've got none other than Rigo Zazueta, my good friend from Denver, Colorado. What's up, bro?
What's up, Dave? Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome. So Talk to me about your new project. It's a travel agency, brand, boutique, Nomara. Yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah, so Nomara really stemmed from me and my partner identifying a loneliness epidemic and an opportunity to bring people together in a different and unique way. We realized that people are tired of interacting through dating apps, through social media, through different ways that just don't really resonate with people the same way they did 10 years ago. And we wanted to find a different way to bring people together through travel specifically. Right, so we built Nomara, which is a group travel focused specifically on experiential travel, or we'd like to call it ourselves, we like to give it the name, or we've given it the name Skillcations. And this is where you go on a trip and you focus specifically on a skill for approximately 7 days, and you're fully immersed in this skill. Every single day you're practicing and you're connecting with this group, you're doing nighttime activities together and you're bonding with the group, you're learning together, and you're hopefully creating lifelong friends.
That's awesome. And I'm all about that too, travel with a purpose, with intention, and creating those lifelong friends like yourself, who I met in Mexico City when I was traveling. One thing that I know, because we talk a lot, is like doubling down on your purpose is not always the easiest thing. Oftentimes we've got a job, we've got money coming in, and yet that side project, that passion that we have, we really want to monetize, we want to go all in, but there's that resistance.
Yeah.
So what would you say if you could talk into that, if someone's kind of on the fence about like following their passion in life versus keeping the safety or security of the job situation that they currently have, what would you ask them?
Yeah, I think the previous limitations and the way the world used to work 10 or 15 years ago around following your passion was distribution of this particular skill set or interest, right? How could you get this interest in front of enough people to actually make it a sustainable business? But nowadays, with social media and more recently AI, it's much easier to reach people and to build a product than ever, right? So you can essentially make money off of everything, right? We've all seen it. We've all seen the people with the big TikTok channels of underwater basket weaving, right? Crocheting, or whatever it is. I mean, there's literally TikTok channels that go viral with people sleeping, right? Which tells you there's an audience for everything if you're your authentic self and you put passion behind what you're sharing with the world, right? People can connect with that. People feel that from you. And now with all these distribution channels and with AI coming into play where you're able to build sales assets, materials, different ways to market and distribute your interest, I feel like now more than ever, it's much easier to follow that passion project than it was, again, 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, let's just touch on real quick something you just mentioned, because I know you're an expert in sales and building sales teams. And, I'm really passionate as well about creating better sales processes and helping our clients to get more leads. And so you talked about like creating those lead magnets. Which lead magnets would you say are, really working the best these days for, Mara, for your clients, and like, for what you see works on in the online space?
Yeah, so things have evolved in the sales market, or the way you, in the way that you position your product, right? Going back to the topic of AI, on that same note, you can now utilize these same sort of tools to build sales assets and generate interest around your offer, your product, without a lot of effort on your part and with very minimal expenses. And the way that I've been able to do this as of late is using tools like Lovable or Claude Code to build different slideshows, to build different decks, different ways that I could deliver interest to my clients or my prospects that seems very high effort to them if they're not familiar with that particular sort of tool. But to me, it actually is low effort, right? And it's something that I could easily replicate. And it sort of gives them like that awe factor, like, wow, this is this guy's free product. Like, imagine what the paid product could be, right? Or imagine what the experience will be like working with them further. So I think the way that people utilize AI needs to continue to evolve, or I would like to challenge people in the way that they use AI and think of creative ways to use it around creating sales assets to deliver and provide value in a different vehicle than you previously were able to impress your clients, to wow your clients, and get them to jump on a call, right? Get them to take that initial step towards buying your product or service. And I feel like this is a revolutionary way that's still very much in its infancy.
That's why we call this channel Dave Gold Evolve.
That's right.
Cool. So if you could go back in time and talk to the maybe 25-year-old Rigo and give him some advice as to...
That's not that long ago, by the way.
We're not going to disclose the age on this podcast. No ages will be disclosed. What would you tell your younger self? Like, I see, a lot of young guys like getting started in the online space, and some of them are actually kind of successful, but they do hit a lot of roadblocks. So, if you were going to support like the younger generation, like what advice would you give them?
Yeah, man. I mean, I would say a lot of things to my former self, but I think the number one advice that I would give myself is that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out some way, somehow. Everything that you've been through, even up to this point, proves to you that you're going to be able to get through everything. And what this does and what it's done for me is that it lowers importance of everything. Therefore, I'm not putting it on a pedestal. I'm not creating resistance around that. So you'd be surprised when you eliminate this resistance, how easily things just flow into your life. For me, I've become a lot more faith-driven as of late. That's also helped in having that belief that everything's going to be okay. But I think for me, just constantly reminding yourself, like, you're going to be able to get through this no matter what happens, no matter if this client signs or they don't sign, or if you get this partner, or if you get this girl that you're looking for, or if it works out with this business partner. Regardless, everything is going to be okay. When you tell yourself that, you just get in the right state of mind and things just flow into your life.
Yeah, we could take that in so many different directions. I know we're going to end in a second, but like, I love that doubling down on faith. And I've seen, as you've broken through revenue goals and ceilings and been able to change and up-level your life, how you've doubled down on spirituality and your relationship with God. So I fucking love that. Now, final question. Like, let's say I were to give you $20,000 and you had to invest it into something. What would you invest it in over the next 3 months if you had to like really double down right now in your life?
I mean, I think for me, I would invest it. Well, for me personally, what I would do is that I would buy myself some time so I can go all in on things like Claude Code, on being able to learn how to build a business in such a short period of time. And then building systems around that business for marketing and distribution so that I could generate different revenue streams as industries continue to evolve and dissolve. I would, again, buy my time back by maybe taking 1 month where I'm not working with any particular clients and I'm just fully immersed in AI and building businesses from scratch. I know this sort of goes against the grain and says I just focus on one thing, but I think right now really is a golden opportunity with AI and the ease of building these different tools and businesses that I think it is sort of like a gold rush that people should take advantage of. So I think if I were somebody that already had somewhat of a successful business, I would take the time to learn everything I could about AI and how it could support my business and how I could put out more content, more sales assets, right? different vehicles to deliver value to my clients, like I was talking about with the lead magnets, and really be able to serve more people and get more done in a shorter period of time, because that's really what AI does.
I love it. So, we touched on a few things on AI, on buying back your time, on creating those powerful lead magnets, and traveling the world with people who you actually vibe with and doing things that are awesome when you travel. So we touched on some great points. I'll drop your IG and your links below the video. And, if this was powerful, the only cost of my content is to share it with a friend. Rigo, thanks a lot for coming on.
That was a pleasure, man.
Peace.
Thank you.